Must look pretty for camera. My first guest, of course, is currently starring in the play The Ride Down Mount Morgan, which is at the Ambassador Theater right here in good old friendly New York City. But next month, he can be seen as Professor X in the much-anticipated new movie, X-Men. Please welcome Patrick Stewart.
There I was in the elevator, and I had this tingling sensation all over me. You know, I was going back out onto the street. I didn't know you had that technology on your show.
Yeah, we like to beam you in whenever we can.
Yeah.
We do the best we can.
How wide a range do you have with that equipment? I mean,
Not very. It's NBC equipment. It's pretty crappy. Yeah. It's not the good stuff. You know what's funny? I will admit to something right now. I am, and I think some people are, an actor like yourself who's been trained in the Shakespeare Company and Royal Shakespeare Company, and it's intimidating. It's intimidating, I think, to Americans like me. We think of you as don't we? We think of you a little bit as a very serious man, a man of bearing, a man of knowledge, a man of talent.
Not these people.
No, not them. But but then I find out I find out that you're a fan of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
You are.
Sure. Yeah,
You are.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but I would not have guessed that about you.
Well, you smiled as you said that.
I was mocking you.
Yeah. There was an undertone of mockery about it. The fact is that Beavis and Butthead is probably one of the most serious programs on television. It will, in history, looking back on the end of the 20th century, the beginning of the 21st, we'll look on Beavis and Butthead as one of the cultural phenomena, you know?
Ah.
You had Gore Vidal, Arthur Miller, Beavis and Butthead, you know? I'm partially serious about that. Actually.
You are. And so you watch it and you snicker along with everyone else.
I think it's tremendously funny, but I think it also has a lot to say about contemporary juvenile life. And the fact is, I knew guys like this when I was growing up.
Really?
Oh, sure.
In England, they had a Beavis and Butthead running around?
Well, it was a British version of Beavis and Butthead, but they were real. A lot of the guys that I ended up with were, you know, pretty unpleasant people. And so if nothing else, it reminds me of how lucky I am not to be there anymore.
Right. Very nice. They're going to love it when we rebroadcast the show in England, by the way.
I know. That will be edited out, I guarantee
we're going to take that out.
I have friends in high places that will never be heard again.
It will be replaced with an advertisement for tea or something. Something friendly. I saw you on the news. I don't know when this was. Was this 2-3 months ago? I saw you on the news. There's a news story. Bill Gates was launching the new Microsoft Windows
2000.
Windows 2000. Yeah. He's launching it, and he's up on stage. You're standing next to him. He's telling jokes, and you're laughing along. What was that all about?
You think I wouldn't have laughed?
Yeah, that's right.
If the richest man in the world is telling jokes and you don't laugh?
Yeah, right.
Yes, I laughed. Oh, boy, did I laugh.
What did you... was this for you were hired? I guess you were paid to be there as what? As
it was a job.
It was a job.
Yeah. And there are obvious associations between a role that I have played and the launch of a piece of high technology.
Yes.
But the charm of it was that he was so serious about the comedy and wanted to get it really good. He wanted to rehearse. I mean, we went over the lines over and over them because he was so determined to make a good impression with this.
Is he a good comedian?
He's a little dry. And a little...
How much is he paying you? That's the nicest way I've ever heard someone say, no, he's no good.
The answer to the payment question is it's never enough, no matter what.
I'm sure it was enough.
He was delightful, but there is a certain kind of frisson that surrounds a man simply because of what he represents in terms of wealth.
When a guy is worth, what is he worth? He's worth how many $billion? 60 billion, 70?
But who's counting?
Yeah. Yeah. That woman's very aware. Yeah. It's 60, by the way. I just think when you meet someone like that, but then what would be so absurd is he's worth 60, 70, 80 billion dollars, but he sort of talks like this, doesn't he? He kind of has that going on.
Well, I think that's charming. The way he dresses.
Of course you do. And you know what? I think it's charming too.
No, you don't.
Where's my
money? Nobody believes you.
I want my check.
Yeah.
But it went well, and you've made a friend now, and he can follow you through life. You're here in New York City now, and I would think this has got to be, it's very different living here, I would think, because in this city we pile people one on top of the other, and there are a ton of people living on the island of Manhattan. Does that feel too close and cramped to you, or do you enjoy this kind of
No,
living?
it doesn't. I grew up in a working-class community in northern England, and we all lived very closely together. You know, if somebody breathed in the next house, you heard them. And it has its downside that you had no privacy or very little privacy, but also people were there for you, too. If you had any problems, there were always neighbors who could help 24 hours a day. So I was very familiar with that, and I like the closeness and proximity of humanity that you meet in New York, especially you step out of the hotel or step out of an apartment building.
I like the way you said that, humanity. I like that. It was cool. I can't say it like that.
You're mocking me again.
No, I'm not. I liked. No, I was not. I was liking the way I have the voice of a 14-year-old boy, and I wish I could talk like that. That sounds cool to me.
Cigarettes and whiskey.
All right.
And there will be no charge for that. No.
So you don't mind it? You don't mind living in the high-rise here?
You know, in fact, I always insist on living as high as possible because it seems to me if you're going to be in New York, you need to see New York. One of the great things about this city is its panorama and its architecture, the scale of the city. When I walk into my apartment, I look down the corridor out of a window, and I can see, 50 blocks south of me, I can see the Empire State Building. And every time I see it, it gives me a thrill. Yep. And I think sometimes maybe there's somebody on top of the Empire State Building looking north and saying, every time I look out of my window, I can see Patrick Stewart's apartment, and it gives me such a thrill. Do you think that's possible? There is such a person?
Yes, I do.
It means so much to me to hear that.
Powerful binoculars. Have you tried that, by the way? That's a real thrill here in the city.
Oh.
Look around and
Well, it's a requirement. Sure, I have binoculars.
You like to look around?
It is. No.
Let's talk about this openly, because how can you resist the temptation? You have binoculars in your apartment,
Sure,
don't you?
Yeah. I have them around my neck all the time. And yes, it's true. You know, in my case, I should make this clear. I'm an actor. So when I lift up the binoculars and look into a neighbor's window, what I am doing is research. There is...
Nicely said.
You see,
that's nice.
It's true. There's nothing really voyeuristic about that.
No, not at all. No.
But, you know, it's open season. You leave your blinds open, your curtains undrawn.
Right.
You're inviting someone like me to look in. And it is part of the charm of life in Manhattan.
Very nicely said. Yeah, and I, as a comedian, need to see how people undress and to observe the way that...
What kind of binoculars do you have, by the way?
I have the I-80s. They're amazing. Yeah. It's amazing.
You know what?
Technology.
Telescopes really are the thing, of course. You can get much more power with telescopes.
We should talk. We'll compare equipment.
We sure will. Well, I'm not sure about that.
Patrick, I'd like to apologize right now for America. In England, they would just assume that they're going to compare equipment.
I love these people. You know,
yes, they're the best.
I wasn't funny until I came to America. No, it's true. The United States, among other things, made me funny.
Then I should go to England. The ride down Mount Morgan is at the Ambassador Theater. It's in New York City, and tickets are still available, so go see that show. And the X-Men, which everyone's talking about, this is much anticipated, July 14th. That's going to be a good movie.
I think it's going to be terrific, yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for stopping by. Great to have you here. Patrick Stewart, Julie Brown is coming up. We'll be right back.